Laddie lived out in the country on a farm and not far away were the railway tracks, said Daddy. How Laddie did love to see the great long trains go rushing by and curling blue smoke coming from the engine. He would sit on the back porch of his home and watch the trains as they went by. And every day there were sure to be trains passing 5 different times. Laddie was always there on the back porch, just as regularly as if he had to be there. And every time a train would pass Laddie would wave, and as he waved he would think of the people in the train and how they would go on and on into wonderful parts of the land. New parts he had never seen. Often people would wave back to him and then he would smile and feel just like an adventure, too, for he had made friends with these wonderful people rushing by on adventureful travels. The fire, began Daddy, was in a deserted barn on the very outskirts of the town. It was quite near some houses and an inn, so the firemen wanted to do all they could to keep fire from spreading to the houses, for there was quite a high wind. No one minded if the old barn burnt, for it really was of no use to anyone, and the owner of it never bothered to keep it up at all. But the fire engine horses made an awful fuss. They heard, what the firemen didn't hear, one of their own kind crying for help in horse language. They tried to break from the engines and kicked their heels and made a lot of commotion. They shook their heads and made all sorts of funny sounds. Finally one of the firemen said, I have a suspicion that the horses hear something in that barn, and I am going in to investigate, for maybe there is something alive inside. I have never known these horses to make a mistake. So he went in through a broken window, and when he got inside he found a horse trembling with fear at seeing the flames. The old fireman unbolted the back door of the barn where the fire had not as yet spread and led the horse out. Then you should have seen the fire engine horses. They were so happy that the old horse had been saved. But just at that moment an old man came running out of the inn and crying, Oh, save my horse. He's in that barn. And when he saw that his horse had been saved he went over and put his head on the horse's mane, and the horse neighed contentedly. The old man had stopped at the inn for the night, and there they had told him he could safely keep his horse in the old barn. Oh, I am so grateful to you, said the old man to the fireman. I love my horse like a very real friend. How can I ever thank you? We're not the ones to thank, said the fireman who had gone in the barn when the fire horses had seemed so excited. Our horses saved your horse's life. Have I ever met you before? Asked the yellow rose of a beautiful pink rose. The pink rose was of a very exquisite color, and though the yellow rose had seen many pink roses it was sure it hadn't seen one of just that very same shade. I don't believe you have, said the pink rose, for I am a new kind of a rose. I haven't any thorns on me, that is, I only have some way down by the bottom of my stem. That is what they have trained my family to do. It took a good deal of training and teaching to make us like that, and last spring when my grandmother made her appearance she was the first one to have succeeded in being almost thornless. It was a great day for grandmother. How funny moths are, said the first mothball. When most creatures go to the country or the seashore in the summer the moths prefer to stay if they can, in great heavy coats and furs and tam-o'-shanters, and so forth. It is really most ridiculous. One would think they would prefer it where it was cool. Still, said the second mothball, we do not go to cool spots in the summer. We stay right in with the warm clothes. That is so, the first mothball answered, but we have our work to do. Our business keeps us in warm clothes in the summer time, and you'd think moths would stay away, when they can see there is no hospitality offered them. Oh, well, the second mothball said, I suppose there are some creatures who will never take hints, and perhaps it is just as well. For if moths took hints there would be no need for mothballs. True, the first mothball ended as it was shaken out of a heavy coat about to begin its second winter. As you know, commenced Daddy, when the little creatures who go to sleep for the winter are about to begin their long rest they wish each other a good winter just as we would say a good night to each other. And Billy Brownie hurried off to make his good winter calls on some of his friends. Well, said Billy Brownie to Mother Grizzly, I wish you a good winter. If you were only going to have a night's rest of course I'd only wish you a good night and pleasant dreams. But as you sleep for the winter I wish you a good winter and pleasant winter dreams. Woof, woof, thank you, said Mother Grizzly. And Billy Brownie left Mother Grizzly to tuck her children into their nice beds right by her in the old family den. He was very fond of Mother Grizzly. Then he went to call on the ground squirrels. Hello, little ground squirrels, he said, as he saw them after he had traveled a little distance in his Brownie motor car. Are you on your way to bed? We are indeed, they said. Our parents went to bed at the end of the summer but we were allowed to stay up longer. It is such fun to be allowed to stay up a little longer once in a great while. Good winter, Billy Brownie. for they said good winter to Billy Brownie, too, as they would not see him during the winter, although he would not be asleep. They would be the ones asleep. And then he called on Mother Black Bear, the prairie dog family, Willie Woodchuck and his family, and many others, and to all he wished pleasant winter dreams. When I went out today, began the horse, the farmer had a new check rein for me. It held my head way up in the air, and it was so hard for me. My neck ached and throbbed, and still the farmer drove me along and never paid any attention. I just longed to have him wear it for 5 minutes and see how he would feel. But we had not gone so very far when a lady stopped and spoke to the master. That check rein is very tight, she said. Oh no, said the master. He is used to a rein like that. He always keeps his head up that way. He is a fine, well-bred horse. That's true, said the lady. But that is no reason why you should make him suffer. He doesn't suffer, said the master. And all the time my neck was aching, and, oh, how I was longing to get my head down a little. The rein held it up, and never for a moment could I get it down. Before another word was said, my check rein was loosened, and then, joy of joys, I put my head down. I moved it around, and twisted it, and I shook it. It was glorious. There, said the lady. Don't you see he likes his head down? He doesn't want it forced up beyond where he would hold it naturally. That is a very cruel rein. You know nothing about horses, said my master as he put the check rein back. There was my head back in its cruel check rein again, and on we drove. Oh, how long that drive to town and back seemed today. And though I wish the master no harm, how I do wish he could be driven into town just once, with his head way back, held, so he couldn't move it, couldn't let it down for a second. Then he would know what it means to a horse who has too tight a check rein. Then he would know, neighed the other horses. Oh, if masters could only wear check reins too, so they would know just what they are like, they added. We think of days in history and of great and important events and of the dates upon which they took place. And little do we realize that one of the greatest dates in history was one which almost all of us remember. Those who were only babies then are so quickly catching up with those ahead of them that they will hear about it so often that they will feel they, too, remember. Early in the morning of November 11, 1918, peace came to a world in which so many nations had been at war that it was indeed almost a world war, and so huge and terrible and gigantic a war was it, including men of so many countries, and so great was the ideal for which they were fighting against an aggressive tyranny, that it had to be known by some name quite unusual and quite different. It was also called the Great War. It was great in its immensity, its idealism, its heroism, its scientifically modern and horrible machine guns and submarines and gases, its tragedy, its suffering and the confusion and disorder it left behind. There had been on November 7th a false report of peace. At that false report, then people did not know that it was false, everyone went wild. The streets were filled with singing, shouting, happy, excited people. Oh, how happy they were. So happy they couldn't quite express their happiness. They had kept their worries and their sorrows so closely to themselves that they found it hard at first to let out what they felt. And let it out they must. Joy was not to be kept to themselves. Joy was to be shared. Joy was something one didn't have to be brave about. Joy was too kindly and gay and merry. Joy didn't demand any self-control. Nor did joy demand anything that was hard. Whistles were blown and bells began to ring. Flags began appearing from windows, flags of all sizes. Many people rushed from their houses to wave their flags as they ran joyously up and down the streets. One gray-haired woman spent the day in waving her flag as she walked the streets and smiled at people she had never met before. But now she could share her happiness with these strangers. Her son, who had been fighting for them, too, was now safe. People made very sure of the report that came next, on November 11th, but it was a real report and there was no doubt of it this time. Victory had come, but not only victory, peace. The very word itself was more deeply thrilling than ever it had been before. In the cities the people took to the streets and shared their joy with everybody. They rode on trucks. In every motor there were crowds. Many of them had been strangers to each other but a short time ago. Older women seemed to have grown suddenly younger. They walked with a new springiness in their steps. People sang. Crowds went by having made up hurried parades, singing as they went. Even tin pans were brought out and did their share toward a great noise and thankfulness. Peace, peace following war. People dressed up, solemn people were no longer solemn, and all were a part of a great day in history, one of history's greatest days. In small towns too the whistles blew, the church bells rang and very early in the dark morning, lights appeared in the houses. Small village bands are a group who could play musical instruments led processions which kept on all through the day and up into the following night. The small towns too had sent their own to the war, and peace had come to the small towns, much to all human beings, that it has become the hope of the world that peace may always be with us. The children want to look out of their windows and you're in the way, said Mr. Sun to Master Chili and Jack Frost's other brothers. Chili and the others began to move a little, and as they moved their castles disappeared with them. The children were getting up now and were calling to each other. Oh, look at the wonderful pictures on the windows. There are castles too, aren't they beautiful? Chili and the other Frost brothers and workers were delighted. You see, Mr. Sun, they like us. Well, maybe they do, said Mr. Sun, but I can't help you stay around. I must smile and talk in my usual way, and it's too warm a day for you to like. Slowly the Frost castles left the windows, for they were taken away by the Frost brothers after Mr. Sun had talked to them, as they will never teach anyone else the mystery of their work. Come on, now, said Jack Frost to his brothers. It is time that the Autumn Paint Club finished up some of its work. Nutty Chum, Chippy Chappy, and Sharpie and Bright Eyes and others of the squirrel family will be glad that we have come, for we will improve the nuts and they like the nuts. Oh yes indeed. Then we will please the children, too, for they like the chestnut season. Oh, yes, that is the truth. They do like the chestnut season. But Frost brothers, the night is almost here. Let's get started. Remember, you all know just what you have to do. You all know which of you must paint the windows with the magic frost paint brushes this evening, and you know which of you must whisper to the flowers the little frost word, obey. You all know what you must do. We all know, said the Frost brothers. I feel just like work, said Master Very Cool. So die, said Master Chili. I feel like it, too, I should say I did, agreed Master Heavy Frost. Good, said Jack Frost. And you're a fine worker, Master Heavy Frost. You make creatures obey you. So off went the Frost brothers, and the next morning when the people awoke they said what a heavy frost there had been. But Jack Frost was chuckling to himself as he said, the Autumn Paint Club did fine work last night.